Didn't start on mine.
That's just too weird. Well. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ron at Village True Value Home Center. We're really excited today about our presentation. So this is something not many people think about, and they really, really should. I want to introduce you here to the Scantlin family. They've been running clean sweep chimney service since before I had hair, since 1979. Can you believe it? So there are no better experts in the field than the two gentlemen you're seeing sitting right in front of you. Father and son business, just passing on that knowledge and you know, going to get better and better and better. They've serviced probably every chimney in the village. I know they did mine when I first moved here, which I was really excited about, because I not only did I know nothing about operating a wood burning stove, but I knew nothing about keeping it clean or anything. So it was a smart move on my part to call them. But with no further ado, I'll go ahead and introduce these guys, the Scantlins, and let's talk off. And how did you guys get started in the business?
I was on the fire department at Hot Springs Village starting in late 1975, and predominantly all the fires that we ran were chimney fires, and some of the local residents kind of got upset because every time we called the volunteers out, we used an air raid siren. That was the technology of the day, and it seemed like all the chimney fires happened at 10 o'clock at night. So anyway, we ran a lot of fires, and a lot of the residents decided that we needed a chimney sweep. And there was one lady in particular that kept throwing stuff on my bed at the fire station and said, you know, here you go. And I had no intentions of being a chimney sweep. But anyway, I had a lot of information, and there was another guy that had a catastrophic fire and had to move out of his house while the chimney was rebuilt before we have the technology that we have today to reline chimneys. So anyway, this old guy came to the fire station one day and didn't leave me a way to wiggle out, so I had to clean the chimney. And so I cleaned these chimneys, not very well because it was all makeshift equipment and this and that. And there were so few of us out here back then. The lady that ran the newspaper came to the station and said, hey, I'll give you the whole next month's newspaper. It came out once a month. But she said, you can have the whole newspaper for the month if you'll come and clean my chimney.
Wow.
So I went and cleaned her chimney, and the rest of it's history. And so that's how we got started. And
Well, 79, that's pretty close to when Mary Poppins came out, and chimney sweeps were suddenly in the movie theaters everywhere.
Yeah.
So now I was noticing your logo on your card is pretty cool. So that worked out really great.
the logo on the card, the other lady at the newspaper that was the advertising specialist took a book of clip art,
Yeah.
and she flipped through there and found the hobo and got rid of his poke, turned that into a chimney brush, and that's been the logo ever since.
Okay, let's paint a scenario. I just bought a home in Hot Springs Village, and I'm moving in, and I'm looking around, and I want to make sure all my bones are good. So I've had an inspector come, and they check everything but the chimney. How do I know what to look for? Like I noticed, and the reason I called y'all was I had these black, look like creosote lines going on the outside of my pipe. So while I knew nothing, it gave me caution, and that was one sign I took. I better call y'all. What should a new homeowner look for in a fireplace or the wood burning stove before they use it the first time to make sure they're safe?
It's always best before you have a fire to have it looked at by us. If you look up there, if it looks dirty to you, it probably is, but it's always a good idea to have it looked at beforehand. We ran into one this week that very early stages of a real estate transaction, and there was nothing left of the fireplace. They had an old site-built fireplace with a metal box in it that was completely rusted out, and had they not had it looked at, the new homeowner would have bought it, used it, and who knows what would have happened.
Wow.
So it's always a good idea to have them looked at before you use them. And then if you live in the village, there's a good chance that we have records of that house. So we can kind of give you a history on it and say, oh, we've done this, we've done that, or it needs this or it needs that even before we can get there. So we have a pretty good idea of what we're getting into and can help you out quite a bit.
Well, I know you helped me learn to use mine because
Mm-hmm.
I was doing it completely bass backwards, as they say, and it luckily didn't smoke my house up. But so that was really cool. If you have a regular fireplace and you don't want to use it anymore, you want a wood burning stove, let's say, can those kinds of things be done?
It depends on the fireplace, but if it's the old style fireplace like what you mostly see on the west end of Hot Springs Village, the old site builts, if you want to put an insert stove with a new chimney system in it, yes you can. The new prefab fireplaces that you're seeing in these newer houses, there's a lot of limitations on those due to their UL listings from the manufacturers. If you have an old fireplace, yes you can. Most of the time, if you have a new fireplace, no you can't. But
Government.
let us look at it and we can kind of tell you yes or no, what you have and what your options are.
Well, tell me about a typical chimney cleanings. What is it like? I open my door to you, I welcome you in, I give you a glass of iced tea, tell you to go to work.
Come in, first trip in, we come in with a clipboard and a flashlight. And, for us, it takes about a half a millisecond to shine a flashlight up there and come back, yes or no. If you've got an 1/8 inch or more creosote built up in the chimney in the back of the firebox, that's pretty much an automatic.
Try to get this music. Keep that.
Yeah.
Or if there's a ton of ashes in there at the bottom of the fireplace, then we know it's time to go ahead and clean it. When we clean the chimneys, we'll come in and put tarps.
Forgive me, I'm getting the music turned down or off.
I just now heard that come on. I was like, what's on the radio now?
So,
This is a fun story, you can tell.
Yeah.
We rock.
Yeah.
there you go. What we'll do, after that, we'll start bringing tarps and lights and our equipment in. And generally, depending on what type of fireplace it is, we've got several different cleaning systems. For the old style masonry fireplaces, down to the new styles of zero clearance, and then also different systems for freestanding stoves. And anymore, we don't even hardly carry the equipment to clean a chimney like Mary Poppins, go up on the roof with the brush and rod things out. That's kind of history. It's a lot safer to work from the ground. We can do a better job of making sure that we don't make a mess.
Well, I will attest to the fact that you were at my house for a long time and it was spotless when you left.
The average fireplace takes hour and 15 minutes to clean. When we do clean it, depending on the style, we'll have one vacuum for sure, possibly even two, and then we'll tape off a lot of the front of the fireplace if it's a site built or a zero clearance. And as we're cleaning it, we can keep an eye on the dust. And like this time of year, chimney's downdraft, and so making too much dust, you just stop and wait for your vacuums to catch up and go, continue on after that. So you can keep a pretty good eye on the dust to not make a mess.
If you have say a wood burning stove that you like, but maybe you'd like to have one that would put out more heat or bigger, or you can cook on it or whatever, can you change these things out?
It kind of depends on what you have. Unfortunately, a lot of change out, like drastically different styles, no you can't, because you start running into like chimney sizing issues, clearance issues, because one stove may have a 12-inch clearance to combustibles, that's just a random number, and another stove may say 18. So if you stay close to the same style you can, but usually you pick one and that's pretty much what you're going to have.
Make sure to rank the clearances before
Yes.
Well, I think the better advice is to call a pro.
Correct.
Is to call a pro, because that's something that's putting flames through your house.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure it's perfect from ground up. So I'm going to suggest to our viewers at home that they call a pro, call a YouTuber, and have them come take a look before you do anything, even decide to try to clean it yourself. I know I bought some cleaning fluid and cleaned the inside of mine, and it really wasn't the right thing to do. And I talked to him and got the name of the right stuff and cleaned the window, and it looked a lot better. So it pays to ask a pro, and a pro that's been here for a while, who's probably seen your fireplace before. Let me see.
Something else that we've done for quite a few years now is we've added dryer vent cleaning to what we do, and we've done quite a bit of that in the last 5 or 6 years. And on that, what we do is come in and do a flow reading from the outside on your fire or on your dryer before we start. Then we'll come in and take the dryer apart and pull it out from the wall, disconnect the hose, and then we'll clean out the pipe from the inside out. Have a vacuum running and a rotary brush, and then when we get through with that, then we'll vacuum out the dryer the best we can. We do not take them apart, but then we'll replace the connector hose and go outside and get a flow reading to see how much better your dryer is.
And that's another area that prevents fire as well, too. That duct buildup in there. I've heard stories of that catching on fire. Here's one that fascinates me that you do that I hadn't really thought about until a couple of nights ago when that massive storm came through here and shook the side of the mountain. Chimney waterproofing. That's pretty interesting. Where would you notice the water running? Along the outside of your pipe, coming from the ceiling, or could it actually just go into the roof and you not know it? Is it something that maybe once a year you should have you guys come out and take a look?
It really depends on the fireplace. One like what you have, you'll notice it coming down the pipe, or you'll see it just kind of right on the sheetrock. A lot of times it'll show up on the sheetrock at the very, very top. Whether it be around the metal boxes or the rock work, stonework that you have, or you'll see rust stains inside of the firebox. Those are two pretty common places to see water show up, especially on the older homes. As they're starting to age, the mortar and the brickwork on the roofs, are starting to crack and deteriorate just due to age.
Yeah.
So
that heat up there.
And on the inside, sometimes if you've got stone on the front of the fireplace, if you start to see a little bit of white, fluffy stuff, that's the lime coming out of the concrete. That's a warning sign of this time to look at something.
Wow. So if your stone's making a margarita, it's time to...
You do not want to see a margarita.
You don't want to see a margarita on the front of your fireplace.
Nope.
That's pretty fascinating. Boy, I've come a long way from Mary Poppins on the Roof video chimney inspections. That's pretty neat. That's got to be easier on you guys than crawling on roofs all day long.
It's quite a bit easier, and then you can look at the interior of the chimneys. When you're looking at the video equipment, you're looking for cracked tile, missing mortar joints. On the old ones, we saw one in the village a couple years ago that got struck by lightning. Wow. A chimney did, and there was a hole in the flue tile that was about 1 foot square, and it was just gone. On the new style fireplaces, what you're looking for is warped pipe, disconnected seams, the pipe joint's not connected. You're just looking to make sure it's all connected and there's not really any major holes in it.
Well, folks, I got to tell you, they showed me some pictures of some fireplaces they've encountered there. There's no possible way the homeowner could see what a dangerous situation it is without the professional knowledge of these guys knowing what to look for. There were some people out there that had fireplaces that were burned all the way through to the point where it was going to set their house on fire if they used it again. And people didn't have a clue. You couldn't tell from looking at the outside. So I never realized till I met these guys how important it is to take care of your chimney and your fireplace. This is from someone who lost everything I owned in a fire once. So I'm particularly careful about fire safety.
Yeah.
So, and you guys are all, I know you're certified. You're not just two guys that learned it out of the back of your truck. You've got education, and you probably learned a lot out of the back of your truck, but you're certified and
Yeah, we both go to school to do this. I'm certified with the Chimney Safety Institute of America. Every 3 years, you have to have 48 hours of continuing ed to keep your certification. So you spend quite a bit of time in school, learning the new codes, learning different techniques, new products. 3 weeks ago, I came back from Indianapolis, which is where the tech center is for the schooling, to learn how to work on gas logs. Because it's not a big part yet, but we're seeing more and more every day. Hey, my gas logs don't work.
Yeah.
And it was a 3-day, very intensive class on how to work on them and troubleshoot them. I'm still typing the handwritten notes into a Word document. I'm about halfway through day 2, and I'm on 6 typed pages.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that shows how much the government regulations can keep you busy, but also that's there to improve the safety of your house. So I mean, how can anybody complain about that? Tell me about Buck Stove. It says you're a Buck Stove dealer.
Well, a long time ago, there was somebody else that was the Buck Stove dealer. This is back in about 1980, and I had just started sweeping chimneys, and this guy was a salesman. He was not an installer. And so anyway, I got hooked up with him to go out and clean the fireplaces before they put the stoves in. And so after the next year, the people called me back, and I learned how to take care of the service on the old stoves. They were quite a bit more service oriented with the old stoves than they are today. So anyway, I got to go out and kind of work on the stove. As the old guy kind of got out of the business, I did more and more, and people got to where they'd call me up and, hey, my stove's making a noise. And I said, put your stove on the phone, let me talk to it. And I could tell them whether it was a bad motor bearing, or whether the fan blade had gotten loose.
There you go, folks, the fireplace whisperer.
Yeah, and so eventually the people that had it sold out, and we bought the dealership, so to speak. It's kind of a loose deal, but that was back in the mid '80s, and we've been the Buck Stove dealer, in the neighborhood since then. And, we can get stoves, and I think we put in 4 or 5 of them this year already.
Wow. So if I'm building a new house in the village, do I go through my builder and say I want clean sweep to install the chimney stuff, or am I at their mercy, or how do I make sure I have the right pro put what I want in my new house?
That's pretty much up to your contractor. Now we can supply the parts for, the Buck Stoves have a cabinet, a zero clearance cabinet that you can put a stove in, and then put the chimney with it. Well, we're not big enough to be able to have an installation crew. You're looking at the installation crew right now.
And the maintenance crew.
Yeah.
And removal
Mama
crew.
runs the books in the office and the telephone, and she does that, and stays behind the scenes, but she does all of that.
Well, that's good to hear, because I've learned in my many years of home ownership, you get the best service from a family-run business. You really do. They tend to care more about their customers because it's closer to home. So I'm glad you're here and taking care of us. Electric inserts, is that becoming a bigger deal? Or I have a friend that just did it. I thought he was crazy. He did it by himself. But,
the electric inserts are starting to be very popular, because a lot of people are putting them in like home renovations, because you don't have to really worry about clearances. You can put them on a wall, you can put them in a corner, you don't have to worry about venting them. Or if you've had a chimney fire, or there's no other option for your fireplace, it's a good option to have something that looks like a fire, but it's not. It's a good repair option as far as if you don't want to do major demolition to fix it. But they're getting very popular.
So it's almost a cosmetic fix more.
It
than,
is. It's a cosmetic.
I can't imagine put out heat.
The ones that we can get, they have a 1500 watt, 5000 BTU heater in them. Which is like a floor heater. It has a low and high setting, and then it has 4 settings on the lights. So you can have like really bright or really dim, and you can turn it off. So when it's 105 outside and you want a fire, turn on the flame and turn off the heat and enjoy.
Wow, have a romantic evening in the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I hope you at home have learned as much as I have today, and are really excited to know that Clean Sweep is here to take care of us in the village. So unless they have anything else further to say, I want to thank them for coming in today, and certainly you're welcome to add any thoughts you'd like to add before we go away. So I'm going to turn it over to you for just a second.
This is, believe it or not, the best time of year to have this done. As small as we are and the volume of the need in the fall, if they can call right now, they'll get quicker service because we get backlogged pretty bad, after school starts.
Everybody waits till the last minute on stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please don't wait till the weather guy says frost.
Yeah, till you're calling to find your firewood. Oh yeah, I better
Yeah.
get the fireplace service.
Yeah. And talking about firewood, if you get your wood this year for next year, it'll burn a whole lot better.
I did that this year.
Anyway, that's about
Well, that's
all
good.
I've got.
That's kind of all I can think of right now.
Well, thank you for coming today. I was very informative, and we'll do it again down the road. How do you say?
Yeah.
Good.
Please have us back.
And folks, if you need them, they're at 501-525-4733. Clean Sweep Chimney Service.
922-0492.
All right, you got it. Okay. You can't turn your phone while live. Now you tell me. Excellent. Well, yours was a lot clearer. I may get you to send me that and I'll put it up on our Facebook page.
Okay.